When you retire, you may get a chance to go to football heaven. This is football heaven.
Hey guys, welcome to The Mission. I'm your host, Jameer Howerton. And as the Pro Football Hall of Fame continues its path to Canton, Ohio for enshrinement 2022, yours truly gets the golden opportunity to catch up with members of this year's finalist class. And joining us here on The Mission is the executor of the Punarooski, the inventor of the Lambeau Leap, and Super Bowl 31 champion, Mr. LeRoy Butler. LeRoy, welcome to The Mission, sir.
Nice to be on with you again, Jameer. Always a pleasure.
It is a pleasure. And when we got a chance to talk, the year past, it was such a great conversation. I learned so much. And LeRoy, we are inside the RPC. And this room that we're recording from today is the Rare Book Room. And in our RPC, we have over 40 million documents of player, player draft cards. Like right above me over here, that's Tom Brady's draft card. Of course, we have the legendary great John Madden that I know you have some great stories that we're going to jump into today. And we have over 6 million photos right here in the Hall of Fame's archive. And if you can imagine, just this past weekend, we had a couple of students from Syracuse to come in to do their theses. And nice. This is the place where all the writers, they come in because we are the guardians of the game. So with that being said, you're a finalist for this year's class. When you got the news, what did that mean to you once again, sir?
I think for me, the first year, Jameer, it was a lot of fun. It really was. We were down in Miami. That was my first time being a finalist. I kind of, in the back of my mind, I'm a realistic person. I knew I wasn't going to make it, but it was fun to be there. I mean, because you see all the gold jacket guys who say that you should be here. And I knew it was a process and things of that nature. So, and I got a chance to meet Roger Staubach. That was my hero, one of my heroes growing up. So that was it for me. Last year, with COVID, I knew it was a possibility, but I didn't have a strong possibility. But I still enjoyed it because I remember my mom saying before she passed, you have to enjoy it because a lot of guys wish they were in your position. So you can't, take it for granted, but at the same time, you have to enjoy it. And then this year, I'm thinking that I have more anxiety for some reason. I think I'm closer than I really think I want to be or whatever, however that comes out of my head. So I think I have a real good chance this year. So it's a little bit more anxiety.
Okay. Well, at any rate, we're so thankful and we're gracious for you to give us our time to talk with us today. And, when you're named the finalist, you can't help but to get so many texts and the outpours of phone calls. And how have they been for you?
Well, the family is congratulations. The fan base gets a little violent. Like, hey, what's taking so long? You should be in. Because this is the whole fan base, because I'm the only Packer that's really in this position. So it's different messages. The fan base gets a little rowdy, and because they look at stats, all pros, and they compare it to other players, family members are like, hey man, listen, I'm just glad that you're still relevant and in the news, especially my kids say this is pretty cool. So it's two messages, but you have to take them in both with the same thing to know there's 14 other guys that are in this position. I'm sure getting the same thing.
Well, before we dive in and talk about your illustrious career, currently, let's talk about some of the projects that you have going on. And I see some promotional stuff right behind me. Tell us all about it, LeRoy.
Well, I tell you what, I'm very fortunate. I got a call from Chad Greenway right in the pandemic year before last. And we wanted to start vodka in the state of Wisconsin. I said, I'm in if I can be part owner and I can name it. And I named it Elite Vodka, of course. And then I thought about being African-American and be an owner. I can make a difference in my community by hiring people. And, through this tough stance, people not having jobs and things of that nature, I was able to do that. So I partnered with a lot of great people too. And one of my biggest partners, other than Leap, was Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shields of Milwaukee. Jameer, I had about about 22 vaccination events this fall through winter, and I helped vaccinate, I mean, thousands of African Americans in the, in the inner city that probably didn't want to get vaccinated, but I really felt like I made a difference, because that's what my mom would want me to do, and just kind of explain to them kind of how does it work, talk to your doctor and things of that nature. And the good thing about it, all of my events, none of them are political. You come if you want to. If you don't want to get vaccinated, I ain't talking to you. It's just the people that want to get vaccinated. So that's why it worked. And then last thing, I got this idea that I wanted kids, because I have kids. I have a 10-year-old. Sometimes they get the sniffles, they send them home because they think they have COVID. So I was able to buy a bunch of tests and get it to some schools so the kids can get tested, and the parent can opt in or out. I don't want my kid to test. Oh yeah, can you test him? So I don't have to take off of work to come pick him or her up. And it works out great. He doesn't have COVID. He just has allergies. So you can stay at school and maybe stay with the nurse instead of grandma picking you up, and then all of a sudden you go home, you got to wait to get tested, then you don't have it, but you missed 3 days of school. So I've been doing those kind of programs. I'm just proud of that, because that's what I call leadership.
Wow, that's amazing, because the Pro Football Hall of Fame had a chance to team up with Centene Corporation, which is our healthcare provider here. And you're talking about Anthony Munoz, Darryl Green, just to name a few, and as well as Drew Pearson, all became healthcare ambassadors, and Derek Brooks as well. And I'm sorry if I'm forgetting a few names here, but getting that message out to the African-American community is so vital throughout this time. So hats off to you, salute you to that, man. That's great.
Thank you.
That's really great. That's great.
Thank
so
you so much.
when we look at this year, 17-week season, LeRoy, how impressed were you to see the NFL get through a whole week, a whole 17-week, and just deal with the COVID protocols?
That's a great question, Jameer, because I think it's no pun intended, but sometimes you can move the goalpost if you own the post. So they had to get the protocol stuff fixed first, and I think they've done that for the most part. But I think when they came out with the CBA and it was going to be a long season, people, oh man, it's a long season. Now fans may enjoy it, but players are like safety. But if you think about it, teams like Philadelphia and teams like San Francisco, they would not have been in the playoffs if we had kept it the way you wanted. So I think the NFL did a great job. Down the stretch, you had divisional games. You had important games. It wasn't like the last 2 weeks in the 90s, you just sit your best players the last 2 weeks because it was all sewn up. But you have teams like the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers, who's the MVP, playing against Detroit. I mean, so things have been challenging, but for the most part, this is the reason why the NFL is king, because they try to figure it out. They don't pretend to be the smartest people in the room. We want to work with you to try to have a great season. And I know it was some issue, maybe they may move the game in Dallas from SoFi Field, but they said, well, let's keep it there. And I just like the way they maneuver these waters. No one said it was going to be smooth, okay? But they're navigating these waters, and when they come into something, let's fix it and let's get on the same page, because we are partners with our fan base, and we're partners with our players and coaches and things of that nature. So I'm just proud of the fact that they're moving through it and got through it. It's been a long season, but I'm gonna tell you something. The playoff, Jameer, is exciting when you can see a team like the Cincinnati Bengals for 31 years have never been relevant, win their division and win a playoff game. And when you see San Francisco go to Dallas, I know the Cowboy fans don't like it, but that's what the NFL is all about. Because I know people say parity, but this is healthy for the game when you just can't guarantee these teams go ahead. You're going to have some upsets, and I thought it was great.
How impressed have you been with the way Aaron Rodgers been commanding this offense and leading the Green Bay Packers?
I said something. Now, I get in arguments with my nephew. I have two nephews.
You get in arguments?
Can you believe that?
I cannot believe that.
It's two nephews in the mid-20s. I said to them, if Aaron Rodgers beat Tom Brady, and I just kind of rile him up, because last year Tom Brady came in won, beat Aaron Rodgers. Okay, fine. They won the Super Bowl. Congrats. That's last year. This year, if Aaron Rodgers beat Tom Brady, he's the GOAT. Because to my nephews, Tom Brady's the GOAT. Nobody can beat him. So I said, if he beats Tom Brady, so we got this shouting match. We're just having fun.
You got to add this into it, Mr. Butler. And I hate to cut you off, but
yeah.
you got to look at Eli Manning. He beat Tom Brady.
Yeah, but we ain't in that. We in the barbershop. You stay on your side of the wall. Because that's what happens, right? You be in the barbershop. I got, what about Eli Manning? Sir, we'll be over there in a minute. Let's get this one done first. But I knew that would rile them up because, see, they grew up with Brett Favre, with my career.
Right.
So they look at championships. That's how you say the GOAT. And in actuality, you pull a curtain back, you would say Tom Brady's the GOAT. But if you beat him, then what does that say about you? So I just say Aaron Rodgers, he's had one of the toughest seasons anybody's had to go through. And to his, credit and to his fault. But throughout all that, he's going to be MVP, and he got the best team in the league. If you look at, and I know people may not follow the Packers as much as I do, but his offensive line was decimated. But he don't use it as excuses. He just plays. He doesn't. Whoever's out there, Lazard, MVS, Josiah DeGuara, that's our tight end, by the way. He'll just play. And that's what I like about him. He doesn't complain that I don't have players. He concentrates who he does have. And that's why I think if he beat Tom Brady to go.
How you like his new look, the hair?
I like it because I'm a John Wick fan. Okay. So when he revealed that, standing ovation, yes. And I'm a dog lover. I love John Wick. It's my favorite movie. I can only watch it, Jameer, when my wife is sleeping, though, because she said it killed too many people. I get it. So I love John Wick. So when he did that, I thought it was platinum. And I like the fact that he's a grown man now. He doesn't color his beard like me. Let a little gray in there. And, I can still outthrow these young guys, throwing the football. He's a good leader because we don't always have to be just on the same page as a family, but you're still family. I'm vaccinated. He's not. We're still family. I love cats and dogs. He may just like dogs. We're still family. I like mac and cheese. He may like stovetop stuffing. We're still family. And I think sometimes fans think about it. You don't have to choose a side because the players change, Jameer. The G won't. So I'm a bigger Aaron Rodgers fan as I am Brett Favre fan. And me and Brett Favre, that's my guy. But our politics are way apart. But that's my guy. Two things can be true. So it's okay. You don't have to just pick a side and put up a wall. I pick a side, but I go to your side, you come to mine. Almost like double Dutch if you're from the inner city. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. How much of this rest would help the Green Bay Packers having that bye?
Oh, great question. Because it's the only team that would have bye.
Right.
You don't have to travel, so you're not exposed to another week of COVID.
Right.
You can be home. You can scout the teams together. Jameer, watching a game with my coaches is different than watching it with Reggie White, watching it with my guys. So, guys put their mask on, come over in my theater, and let's watch the game. And the way we talk, hey, yeah, you know about that play? They're going to run the same thing. Deebo Samuel, he's going to do the same thing that Devontae does. It's the same offense. When you talk like that, that gets you ready. And I think that's the only reason why I think that bye week, they earned it. It's going to be great because they're going to be rested, but mentally, the anxiety comes down because they didn't have to play and didn't have to travel and have to deal with a lot of things.
Now, looking at the San Francisco 49ers, what challenges do they pose to this Packers unit?
Oh, another great question. I'll tell you what, because it'll be as if I coach against you. You my buddy. You my friend. I know what Jameer runs. He knows what I run. Put that to the side. You don't always have to have Hall of Fame players to go on, but I am familiar with your notes. I am familiar with who you talk to. So there's a familiarity, a tough word, with him and Kyle Shanahan, because they coach together, they kind of know. And Shanahan went to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Jimmy Garoppolo threw it 9 times, and they were able to go to the Super Bowl because they ran the ball. Raheem Mustard. So LaFleur is thinking, okay, I beat him a couple of times, but I never beat him in the postseason. That's what the barbershop care about. They don't. I mean, it comes up about the third game, Aaron Rodgers taking them down, and Mason Crosby walk-off kick. It comes up, but it's not a lot of chatter. Beat them in the playoffs. And that's something. But when you play a team that runs the same defense as you, same offense as you, it can be a power struggle at first, but ultimately, the Green Bay Packers should have enough to win the game.
Guys, we are so honored to be joined by Mr. Lambeau Leap himself, third-year finalist for this year's class of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Mr. LeRoy Butler. And unfortunately, this year, LeRoy, we lost a giant in this great man here, John Madden. I know you have so many interesting stories, and I would love to hear them. But, you know, just looking at Mr. Madden, what did he mean to the game of football and yourself?
Here's what people gotta know: the impact of John Madden. Now, I'll talk about my nephews in one more second, but now I'm gonna bring in my kids, put them to the side for a minute. I remember back in the day, Jameer, you probably wasn't born, but if you didn't make the Pro Bowl, you were upset. If you weren't all pro, you were probably upset. But if you didn't make the All Madden team, you felt like you wasn't worthy. The All Madden team was amazing because it was guys that may get left off of those two teams that John Madden gave you just an identity. And when I made my first All Madden team, I remember they brought me in a little trophy and he gave us a jacket. That was amazing. Now you upgrade that to him having the most fire gaming system game ever. I have a grandson, 5 years old. Granddad, can I get the Madden game? He don't know nothing about Madden. It's probably Michael Jordan to me is the #1 brand in the world. Because if you can go in Idaho, you know Michael Jordan. Other than that, you can go to Iowa, North Dakota, South Dakota. Everybody knows about the Madden game. So it took it to another level. And allegedly is a story about him kept saying my name was LeRoy. And my mom calls up and say, y'all saying my baby name wrong. And he said it on the air, allegedly. It's like this wild, but that's the kind of guy he was. He was like, before games, him and Pat Summerall would like talk to you like they're your two grandfathers, you know, what kind of scheme y'all running? So he was the first runner to use the telestrator too, that I know of. You know, they draw rat live, just, yeah, see, take this guy, see, Favre, he's gonna do this. And that's what happened. And he was amazing. So losing him was almost like a piece of the DNA of the Hall of Fame, the Raiders. The Madden game is just lost, but it lives on forever though, because his legacy is unmatched.
So wait a minute, I got to understand this correctly. So mom emailed John Madden and was like, listen, you guys are pronouncing my baby's name wrong. It's not Leroy, it's LeRoy.
Thanks. Yes. I'll never forget it. They came, one of the interns came, hey, your mom, we got this buzz around your mom sitting there and saying your name wrong. I was like, no, I don't believe that, because we got like rotary phones and mom don't even know how to email. She don't know nothing about it. No, really. So it was just funny. And I actually talked to him, a private conversation. We had talked about where I grew up from in the inner city, because he was interested in that. And he used to tell me how he used to go down to like South Central or anywhere, and he would see these like gang members, and they go mad because they were all Raider fans. John Madden, and he said it didn't really like capture him until he was in the booth, and he would just talk about the impact of the players. John Madden never made people look bad when he was calling games. He just made the other guy look good. And you love that, because you got to be kind of in the middle. But he'll be one of the best analysts, because one of the best play-by-players Pat Summerall. I mean, because I grew up a Cowboy fan when I was little. So, but them two together was magic. And I just rest in peace, and my condolences go to his family. Man, that name will live on for a long time.
All right, LeRoy, let's have some fun, man. Let's jump into some top 5 moments. I cannot let you go without doing some top 5 lists. So the first top 5 list are your top 5 football moments.
Well, I'd say 5 would be, I remember playing the Chargers at home, and I don't want to give the players' names because it seemed kind of weird, because I don't want them to use my name if they beat me or something, but I intercepted a pass, went 90 yards. And I remember saying to myself that all my life, people told me I was slow, but I was like, I ran 90 yards. So another one was, I remember against the Bears, they ran a flea flicker, and they ran the ball, running back runs the ball, then pitched it back to the quarterback. He tried to throw it. I picked it off at the 1 yard line. The next play, we hit Robert Brooks for 99 yards for a touchdown. I'll never forget that. Another one was the Bears. We won the game because I blitzed, caused a fumble, picked it up. And I remember Pam Oliver, who I'm a big fan of. She's interviewing me on the field. I was like, I made it. Pam Oliver is interviewing me. And she just laughed. And she was just so professional, and she was so funny. And that's one of my best moments, because that's an African-American young lady on the field interviewing me. It was something I thought I'd never see Jameer. I was just so starstruck. I was just like, I was actually trembling because I never thought I would see it. It's almost like seeing a unicorn. I mean, this is Pam Oliver. She's huge. And the last two, obviously, is second to the last one is the leap, because the leap would not be what it would be without the fans. I mean, that's just amazing. The fans are just so great. I love the fans, especially our fan base, second to none. And number one has to be in the Super Bowl. I got a sack in the Super Bowl. Because I remember when I got that sack, Jameer, one of the interns came over and gave me a little card, said 100 million people just saw that sack. And I was like, did they see that weird dance I did afterwards? He said, yeah, I'm sorry they did. So those are my top 5.
And your top 5 favorite players growing up.
Oh, what a platinum question. I ain't gonna do no order because it'll be all 5 Cowboys. You don't understand. I don't think people understand this. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida, in the projects. We had one channel, and it was just for Cowboy games. The other, if they weren't on, it was all white noise. Roger Staubach. Drew Pearson was like, I didn't think he was human. It was like, I love this guy. I mean, Drew Pearson, that's how I'm so glad he made it in the Hall of Fame. I actually teared up when he made it. So those two. Walter Payton was my uncle's favorite, introduced me to what Walter Payton was all about. He wasn't real big, and the guy was truly amazing. And to me, Tony Dorsett, because, he didn't come from this big school from Pittsburgh, and then, people were saying he wasn't real big, and he did this and this, and I just always looked up to him. But the one guy that just seemed to I just wanted to be like, and he's gonna kill me for saying this, but the number one guy grew up with Ronnie Lott, man. I used to see Ronnie Lott, man. I used to start sweating because I said, man, I want to play safety just like that. And then we almost crossed paths, but growing up, 42 was everything to me, Jameer. He was the only guy I had. My mom got me a poster of him on my wall. I don't know where she got. I think she got it from the Salvation Army.
But that was the best poster you ever had, though.
That's the only poster I've ever had was Ronnie Lott. Now that's the GOAT. I mean, he was, and I got a chance to interview him, and I never really told him that, so I'm glad I got a chance for him to hear that, because he was my number one in my whole life. I always wanted to be like Ronnie Lott, man. He was just a class act on and off the field. He was a hitter. He had great hands, great tacklers. He had no weaknesses.
Wow. And lastly, on the top 5 list are your top 5 toughest opponents.
Oh boy. Okay. Micah Irvin has the best swag of anybody that ever played the game. It ain't even close. I don't care if you go all the way back to 1919. Micah Irvin, another 88, has the best swag. Because he would say, dog, I'm gonna catch this touchdown, next play. And he would do it. I mean, he would just say that. I'm like, he just said he was gonna catch a touchdown, and he did it. Okay. Randy Moss, to me, is the only player that can make an EKG machine explode because your heart is playing against him because you're going to be on Sports Center. You're going to be on Sports Center. I don't care how many people cover him. He's going to jump over you, and it's just going to happen. The next guy, the best hands ever. I've never seen him drop a pass, ever. I don't think he have. It's Chris Carter. Chris Carter has the best hands I've ever seen. And this is before OBJ did the one-handed catch. Chris Carter was doing that like when he was 4. I think he came out, his mom like would stick him on his hands. This guy, and I used to say, dude, do you ever drop a pass? He was like, Roy Lee, call me Roy Lee. Roy Lee, I'm never dropping a pass. And I liked him because he had the intelligence to know where he wanted the ball. He would tell the quarterback, whoever, Culpepper, whoever, you know, throw it right here and nobody can get to it, and he would catch it. And the GOAT, Jerry Rice, man. And the reason why Jerry Rice is the best, we have Jameer, what we call a route tree. There's 9 routes. He ran all of them the same speed, so he had no weaknesses. Most guys, if they're a deep threat, they just kind of run when they know they'll get the ball, or maybe they'll loaf if they don't get it. He that's the GOAT. Yeah. That was a GOAT. And actually he's number 1. Number 2, I think I could define was T.O. I'm glad I don't have to play that guy no more, man. T.O. would hurt people. I'm serious. He would catch a hitch and run over like his own people. This guy was ripped, man. So T.O. definitely in my top 5. I don't know if that was 5 or 6, but those receivers give me nightmares. You know, and when I see their highlights, I'm just praying on them. I'm in none of them. I'm like, please don't show me. Please don't show me. So,
well, thank you for sharing that, man. That's great. That's great, man. That's LeRoy Butler's top 5 list. Wow, football moments, favorite players growing up, and his toughest opponents. That's amazing. And before we let you go, Mr. Butler, if you could just tell us, what would it mean, not so much to your football legacy, but just to you, if you are named to this year's class?
You know, it made me think about something when somebody said Aaron Rodgers was a 4-time All-Pro. I say, so was I. And sometimes I forget about that because I try not to make it about me, but what it would mean to me is I can actually put my teammates on a platform. I would actually, the Super Bowl 31 team, I would thank them personally if I got in the Hall of Fame, because without them, I wouldn't be doing this interview today. I love my teammates because they were just so amazing. And when I had bad games, they had great games, and I would benefit. But to take it on a bigger scale, what it would mean to me is being a special needs kid, couldn't read, poverty, single parent, in the projects, never had a sleepover. I used to have braces on my legs like Forrest Gump. So I was Forrest Gump before Tom Hanks. Any parent that's dealing with a kid who's not real fast, not real tall, we would say we made it. Because you don't have to be 6'5", run a 4.2 to be in the Hall of Fame. You just gotta be smart, have great teammates, a great organization, be a good guy for the most part, and just realize how important it is to be doing interviews like this. And the reason why I like these interviews, Jameer, because you understand, the Hall of Fame understands, it's different than the media. Y'all understand the anxiety every player goes through that wants to get in and be a part of the archive behind you. And that is very impactful because every guy wants to be in. And I think every guy eventually will get in, but it'll mean a lot to me because I don't even look at all my accomplishments, because sometimes that's when you get frustrated and say that, what are they going by? So that I'd put it in God's hands, and hopefully I'll be in this year.
That's beautiful, because you would tell that little kid from Jacksonville with those braces, we did it.
Yes, exactly. I think those kids don't think it'll ever happen. But if they can see me, touch me, talk to me when I'm at these schools, wait a minute, I read your book. Your first new shirt was from the Salvation Army. You didn't want toys, you wanted a shirt because you wore hand-me-downs. Well, I wear hand-me-downs, I get bullied for it. My daughter just bought some jeans, $194. They got holes in it, Jameer. I said, I got bullied for wearing holes in my jeans. What is going on? And they
I think we bought those same jeans. I think we bought the same jeans. She's 16, 17?
You're 17.
Yeah, I'm 16. We bought those same jeans.
Yeah, they got bullied for it. But hey, it's funny.
Mr. Butler, it's always a pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, LeRoy Butler, finalist for this year's class of the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Jameer. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.